what happened to her, that was crazy. And also, why did we have to see her naked body? I was like, why we gotta, what the hell is this? I was like, what is this? Why did they have her like that? That looked crazy. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Watch This, Read That, where I discuss films, TV, and screenwriting tips for beginning writers, as well as books, anything, all things books. So today I want to discuss the film Obsession. I got a chance to see it and I want to discuss it. So if you want to know my thoughts, my opinion, who I think the villain is, because I actually think that there's two villains in this film, stay tuned to know my thoughts. First and foremost, my apologies if you are having a little trouble hearing me. I do have the air conditioner on. It is blazing hip-hop and R&B here in LA. Like, it's early in the morning and I don't even know what's the weather. It doesn't matter. It's warm in my apartment, so I had to turn the air on. So I hope y'all can hear me. I'm going to try to project my voice and lean in. I don't know. I have a mic, but it's like a lot going on where I think I'm missing a cord to hook it up to the camera, so I gotta figure that out. But I will have that up and running the next time because it is starting to get warmer in LA, so that's a good thing. But anyway, so like I said, I got a chance to watch Obsession a few days ago, and I wanted to sit on it to kind of like think about everything that I watched, and yeah, I did, and now I'm coming to you with the review. So if you don't know what Obsession is, I'm sure you do, because it is the talk of the town. Everyone is talking about Obsession and how well it did in the box office. It is a horror film. It is written and directed by Curry Barker, and it is considered an indie film. I believe Neon is one of the producers on the film. So this will be a spoiler video. So if you have not watched the film, please check out of this, wait till you see it, and then come back. So we have our lead character, Bear, who is played by Michael Johnson. He is infatuated with his co-worker Nikki Freeman, and he decides that he will make a wish that she loves him more than anyone in the entire world. And that is basically the premise of what is in the trailer. And from there, in the film, I'm going to discuss just a little bit of the things that I noticed, what I enjoyed, what I had questions about, and go from there. So like I said, we have the lead character, Bear. In the opening scene, I thought this was very interesting. He was basically pouring his heart out to a young woman, just saying how he felt about her. However, this was not the young woman, Nikki Freeman. This was actually a random waitress in a restaurant, and we find out that he's being coached by his friend Ian, who is played by Cooper Tomlinson, and Ian is telling him the do's and don'ts of what he thinks he shouldn't say to Nikki. And as we see that, we can kind of see that Bear isn't the most confident guy, but he seems like a sweetheart. And even the waitress, when she was stating everything she loved, like everything he was saying to her, as if she was Nikki, she loved everything that he said, but yet he wasn't taking the woman's advice, he was taking his friend Ian's advice. And I thought that was very interesting, because I'm like, Ian is a guy. You have another young woman telling you like, oh my God, like, that's like, this is so sweet. However, we do get a chance to meet Nikki, and I thought it was very interesting that Nikki seemed like a very self-assured person. It did seem, it felt like she knew herself. Like she knew what she wasn't into, and she knew also like what she what she was into. From the outskirts, it seemed like that. She also seemed like a very sweet young lady. We see a scene where she borrows money from somebody to give to a homeless person, and she says, I'm going to pay you back. So we saw like the sweet elements of Nikki, and then we also saw the sweet elements of Bear. um, we also discovered that his cat died, and we saw him be very vulnerable 2 times before the wish. So once his cat passed away, he was extremely torn apart by that, and we thought that was very cute. The way his cat died was the cat got into, I don't know if it was the trash. I think it was the trash. The cat got into the trash and it ate some pills. Now, I did not have my glasses on, and I was like, what? I don't know why, but I was trying to read the prescription, but I don't know why my eyes was not focusing in. All I saw was a woman's name, and I don't even remember if her name was Barbara. But anyway, we see that basically the cat ate the pills and the cat passed away. So he was really torn up about it. And in this moment, he doesn't feel well, but Nikki contacts him and tells him, you know, like, I think I'm going to quit the job. Come out to, I think they were going to trivia. Come out to trivia, and this will be like the last time we'll probably see each other. So that kind of forces him like, okay, it gives him the motivation to really pour his heart out to Nikki and kind of execute what he was trying to do in preparation with the waitress to actually Nikki. So they meet up, they go to trivia, and instantly we see Ian, who was there coaching him earlier. Ian, and then they have another friend, which is a co-worker. Her name is Sarah. She is also there, and then Nikki is there, and they're all friends. You could tell this friend group, they play a lot, but I did notice like flirtation between different people, and it didn't really dawn on me until later on, but I did notice how Bear let Sarah know that his cat passed away, and she hugged him, and he felt really, it felt like it was a very comfortable moment for him. But in that, also prior to that, he was trying to be alone with Nikki, so he was trying to like give Ian the nod, and Ian was acting like he didn't understand what he was saying. That was one thing that I instantly noticed, and I was like, do your cock blocking, what are you doing? But I'm explaining all of this, and I'm not going to go into detail about everything in the film, but I'm explaining this because we can see we can see a friend group here. We saw how sweet, I would say out of all of the people, we saw how Bear seemed like a really sweet guy. We saw how Nikki seemed like a sweet girl, but also she was reassured, and some things she would be so secure on, which was like, oh, like nobody wants to do that. Or it was just like she really kind of was aware of her feelings and knew how to stand up and speak for herself when she wasn't into something or when she was into something. So that was something that I saw early on. Sarah was also there, and I could tell that she liked Bear in a sense. Ian was the only one that I was like, he's kind of a douche, but he's like the friend that you keep around I don't want to say keep around. I wouldn't do that. But he seems like the friend in this group. Like, we all work together and he's here and we enjoy each other's company, but he is kind of douchey. So we see this early on. So that night, as they're leaving trivia, like I said before, Nikki, she borrows $20, I think from Sarah. She borrowed $20 from Sarah, told her she's gonna give it back, and that is the last moment where we kind of see the interaction of her being such a sweetheart. She asks if Bear could drive her home. He does, and this is his moment. Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I forgot to mention. So when she called him on the phone and was telling him, look, I'm about to quit the job, I'm just, you know, I'm not seeing it anymore for this job, I want to move on, you come to trivia, like come to trivia so we can hang out one last time. She also mentioned that one of her crystals, I believe her mother gave it to her, it was like in her family, one of the crystals that was on her neck, it fell down the drain. So before trivia, Bear decided that he was going to go to a holistic store to get a replacement for her. So when he's in there, and this is like one thing that I loved about the film knew how to sprinkle in humor. Like, one thing it did, it knew how to sprinkle in humor. And this whole interaction of him being in the holistic store had me rolling. So it's a young lady, she's there working, and he's trying to get like advice, like, my friend, she lost a crystal and I need to like find her a replacement, like which one do you think I should get? And she's like, yeah, like you can get this one, like the rose quartz is for love, and then I forget, what is it, turpentine, I forget. Don't get me, I used to know about crystals a lot. I don't know why, like I kind of don't anymore. I mean, I do, but not tourmaline. I think it's tourmaline. Don't get me the line. But she was just saying different ones, and I think tiger's eye was also one that she mentioned, and I can't remember if he actually got a crystal. I can't remember that, but I do remember the one with Willow Box, and he was asking the saleswoman, like, does this work? And she was like, yeah, I guess, like, we get all of these calls, we get all of these complaints about it. And he's like, complaints that it doesn't work, or that it makes their wishes come true, or what? She's like, yeah, I guess. Like, she was just over it. Like, she's like, dude, I'm just here to work, like, whatever. And I think she was also on the phone as well. So that was like a funny moment where we see how the humor was going to be introduced. So we get fast forward back to, he drove her home, they're having a conversation, and when they were having a conversation, there was a moment where Nikki was like, I feel like I really feel like I can talk to you. You are someone that I can connect with. And she was kind of like giving off the vibe that I don't want to say she was interested. It gave me the vibe that she felt safe. And then I forget exactly what sparked the debate, but I know she was leaving and he said, bye Freaky Nikki. And this is the thing. Earlier in the conversation with Ian, when he was prepping on what he was going to say to Nikki, Ian told him to say that to Nikki, and he specifically said to Ian, I'm not going to say that. She's very sensitive about that. Why would I call her Freaky Nikki if she doesn't like that? He was like, oh, it'd just be something fun. Like, remember when we used to call you Freaky Nikki? And I was like, no, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Also, guys, if you are getting advice from your guy friends and they're telling you stuff like this, and if the shoe was on the other foot, where she was talking about how small your penis is, or how you don't have a good hairline, or your beard doesn't connect. Think about it. Would you want her to say that to you? I'm just like, why would you say that to her? So he says, bye, see you, freaky. I think he said, bye, freaky Nikki, or see you later, freaky Nikki. Freaky Nikki. And she comes back and she was like, why would you call me that? You know I don't like that. I don't like when people call me that. And she says, do you like me? This is the moment to tell me, do you like me? And he says, no, like I like you as a friend. And she said, okay, fine. And she walks away. As she walks away, she goes into her house. He pulls out the One Wish willow and he opens it and he makes a wish. He breaks it, breaks the willow tree, the little willow twig, and says, I wish that Nikki Freeman would love me more than anyone in the world. And when I tell you, within a second, things got weird. Within a second, things got weird. He looks over and she's standing on her porch just staring at the car. And this is where I have to say that this film was actually beautifully shot. I know that this film was made for under $1 million. When I tell you, they utilize every single penny of that under $1 million. I'm not going to say how much it was, because I don't know if it was like 800,000. It was under $1 million. They utilized the hell out of that, because the shadow of her standing there was freaky as hell. She comes back into the car and she instantly is like, it's like she's going in and out of it. You can see like how she was confused of like, what's going on? Like, yeah, like she was like, I just can't go back in there. She makes up something about her father being sick and she doesn't know how to deal with this, and she wants to go back to his place. And he's looking like shocked, like, oh my God, what is happening? But she's going in and out of it. And I thought that was very interesting, because from the get-go, I understand that this is something that you're dealing with, like make-believe, like you make a wish and it comes true, things like that. And in that moment, I can see how someone would say, yo, I don't think that this is real. Maybe she just changed her mind. She wanted to get in the car. She comes back to his apartment and we can see that she is going in and out of not understanding why she's there, but then also there's an urge of her wanting to be there. And this is one of the things that I thought was very interesting. As this progressed on, and we kind of see how it goes from that one night of him making that wish to every day they were together, to the point where it was like borderline, she like basically was, I would say she was living with Bear. And I didn't mention this, but Bear was staying at his grandmother's house. I don't know if his grandmother was deceased, but that was his grandmother's house. And she did mention, you know, this one is bigger than the last one, which makes me think like he's kind of hopping around from place to place. And there were no there was no other people living in the house, so I want to say that was his grandmother's house, and maybe she passed away. And I think that was her medication that the cat got into. The sad part about it is, like I told you, I could not see, so I could not see what the medication was, but whatever it was enough to make the cat die. I noticed right away as they go back to work, you can see Nikki, she is constantly staring at Bear. Ian is asking her like, yo, what's up with Nikki? Like, y'all came in together? Did you stay over like, did she stay over? Did y'all like sleep together? He's like, no, we didn't sleep together, but she stayed over. And you know, and he's like, what the heck, like, what's going on? From this moment to like the third act, he never mentions that he made a wish. And I know, and I want to look at this as not a wish. Like, let's think about this as a metaphor. I look at the wish as manipulation. If you, this was the one key thing that I noticed about Bear, was that he was so afraid of the results, that of the results not being what he wanted, that he did not act genuinely off of the true connection. Because let me tell you, they actually seemed like they were really great friends. Like, the way they interacted with each other, I was like, this is a great dynamic. And I'm like, honestly, if you kind of told her how you felt, I think she would at least like see if she wanted to date you. But he never gave her an opportunity. And I'm taking the One Wish Willow as him manipulating the situation of doing something or saying something to get the results that he want with minimum effort. And that's exactly what happened. So it doesn't have to be a wish. It could be lying about something, or doing this to get that, like going on this date, splurging just so that you could sleep with the girl. Like, honestly, it was just like, it felt like the Willow was a metaphor for him. For me, it was manipulating the situation. And what I thought was so interesting is that when he did this, when people would come to him and ask him, yo, what's up with Nikki? Like, she's kind of acting different. He would be like, I know, right? Like, I don't know. Like, she just like likes me. And I'm like, he would act oblivious. Like, he did not know what was going on. And I was like, this is weird. To the point where she would go in and out of, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, she's like, no, like, what am I doing here? And then she would see, there would be something that she would see where it would make her freak out. And then she would be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, the first time it happened, I was like, what the hell is going on? She would freak out. And I was like, why wouldn't he like bring this up to somebody? He never did. But it got to the point where they were spending time with each other every day, and they just started to date. They just started to be together. And I just was like, why wouldn't you mention this? Even when she was like doing little things of like freaking out in the beginning of like going back and forth, she would go in and out of herself. And it was like he was okay with that. It made me also think about wanting genuine connection versus performance. And it felt like, to me, like they had a genuine connection. Once he made the wish, it manipulated the connection. And things started to get weird. He started to notice that she would constantly want to be around him, which that felt, I think that it kind of stroked his ego where he genuinely liked it. Then when it started to get weird, where this was the part where I was like, okay, you need to say something. Picture this. You're asleep. You wake up. Your partner is not laying there. You look up. You call your partner, Nikki. Nikki, are you here? You look up. It's dark because it's the nighttime. You see your partner standing in the corner from across the room, butt ass naked, but wearing your cardigan, and she tells you, shh, go back to sleep. I like to stay. I like to watch you sleep. And then she makes this she does this creepy thing where she moves forward and backwards. I'm just like, no, 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 no. This is not okay. Also, Indy, oh my god. Nikki Freeman is played by Indy Neveretti. Girl, her facial expressions, just the 180 from Nikki before the wish and Nikki after the wish, that was the most creepy scene for me. When, I mean, it's other creepy things, but that scene was the most creepy. But like I was saying before, like genuine connection versus friendship. There was another scene that sparked my thought on genuine connection versus performance. This is when Nikki started to do a lot of weird stuff. She was doing weird stuff. She was, I'm not gonna say even what she did, but she was doing some very weird stuff. The weirdest thing that she did, where I was like, what the heck, was when she made his lunch. No, before that she did something else which was related to when she made his lunch. When she made the memorial for the cat. That in itself, he should have been said something, but he didn't. So the genuine connection versus performance. There was a scene where Nikki was asleep and this reminded me of The Exorcist. She sleep, her body is asleep, but she starts talking to Bear. She says, Bear, please don't wake her. He's like, Nikki, she's like, no, don't wake her. She's sleeping right now. And I'm like, she's sleeping right now. So she is possessed. She's like, Bear, can you just unalive me? And he's like, no, I can't do that. Like, she's like, please, please, like, I can't do this. Like this is hard. Like, this is tormenting me. And he says, what's so bad about being with me? And she says, I was never with you. Because that was not her. The girl that he was with was whatever was possessing her from the wish. And in that moment, she says, please, please, please do this. He walks away. And if he really wanted a genuine, and I'm not saying for him to unalive her, but he never really wanted it. I don't think he ever really wanted a genuine connection, because if somebody is telling you, we were never together, this wasn't me, this wasn't the girl that gave the $20 to the homeless person, or the girl that said, if you like me, this is your chance to say this. He never said that. That wasn't her. So genuine, I thought it was so interesting that he let this go on for so long and was complaining about it being a genuine connection. Like, what's so wrong with being with me, like genuinely being with me? And it's like, but she wasn't. So do you want the performance, or do you want an actual genuine connection? Yo, the other scene that I freaking love was the party scene. So there was a few instances where I saw, girl, listen, all I could hear was Spice. Hit it, Spice. It was, Bear wanted to hit Nikki, poom poom. And then there was a few times where we get note of a love triangle, where we find out that Nikki told Sarah that she only looks at Bear as a friend. Ian tells Bear this, but yet he confronts Nikki, and she says, no, like, you know, like she's possessed. So he's like, okay, like, So she's like, I don't know, like, why, if I said that, maybe, I don't know, like, and that's when they really became, I guess, official, when they started having sex. And you could see her literally lying there like she was dead. Like, it was crazy. And he was okay with this. Like, it was just. And then we also find out that Sarah tells Bear that Nikki and Ian have been sleeping on and off with each other. Mind you, Ian has never told Bear this, which makes me think that Ian was trying to sabotage his whole dynamic with Nikki this whole time. And it makes a lot of sense, because when he was telling him to go, like when he wanted to be alone with her, he was acting like he didn't know. Also, him telling Bear to call her Freaky Nikki, I'm like, he was trying to sabotage this dynamic the whole time. Then it just showed the love triangle, and like I said, I heard Spice. I heard Bear wanted to hit Nikki, boom boom, but Ian was hitting Nikki, boom boom. Then Bear started to hit Nikki, boom boom. Sarah got mad, wanted to hit Bear, boom boom. Like, it was just like a love triangle, and we could see that Sarah even was showing a lot of empathy for Bear. Like, I don't want you to get hurt. And that's when I started to notice, like, I think Sarah likes Bear. And she was talking to him about how she is nervous about her process to get into college. And that was something that she could confide in him with. And she also felt safe. So the interesting thing to me was that Bear had an interesting dynamic with these women, with Sarah and Nikki, where he seemed like a really good friend, but when it came to the dynamic of him and his relationship with Nikki, it was very manipulative. And I don't say it because of him wanting to be with Nikki. I'm saying because, okay, he made the wish, right? Let's say he manipulated something and said something untrue, like he lied to Nikki to get closer to her. At no point, as this started to get deeper and he started to see how things started to shift with her, he never sought out help. People were constantly asking him, like, yo, what's up with Nikki? What's up with her? He just acted like he didn't know what was going on. And it made me think about how there are some people that would be like, yo, my baby mom is crazy. My boyfriend, my baby father crazy. And then you see the aftermath of, like, oh, they might flip out and do something crazy, but then you don't know all of the stuff behind the scenes that was done that led up to that. Because when it got to the point where Nikki was at the party and she was acting crazy. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? This was one of my favorite scenes, when she was at the party and there was a scene where they were playing, like, it looked like Jenga, but it had actual, like, dares on the Jenga. Like, you have to do this or you have to do that. So one of the dares for Bear was he had to kiss the person to the left of him. As soon as that happened, everyone looked over. Nikki was standing up and she was pouting. She was pouting. She was like, and then the way the camera, yo, they did such a good job, because it was like so much anticipation of, like, anxiety of, like, what is she about to do? And then she walks over. I'm like, oh my God, is she about to hurt this girl? She walks over. She pulls Sarah's, mind you, Sarah was the girl sitting next to Bear. She pulls her chair, like, I want to say a foot away from where he was, and she stood in that space and proceeded to go like this. I screamed. You want to talk about the humor? Okay, and although she was looking crazy and he knows that he made this wish, everybody sees her acting crazy. He's acting oblivious, like he doesn't know why she's doing this. And a part of me feels like he liked the performance. He liked that she was so into him and she was acting crazy that he didn't mind her looking crazy until it really got to the point where people was being unalived. Okay, that was one of my notes: resolving the matter or living in the chaos. And he chose living in the chaos versus resolving the matter and the toxicity of their relationship. Your girlfriend, I'm not even gonna tell y'all what she did, but this thing I will tell you: she taped up the door and told him, well, since you're having a hard time getting out the house, you should stay home from work. He was like, no, no, I'll go to work. And she stayed at that door until he came back, which reminded me of The Exorcist because she peed, pooped. I think she said she threw up, she ate a fly. Like, she did all of these things while, and it reminded me of The Exorcist when Reagan, she peed on herself at the party, which reminded me of Scary Movie too. But she did that. And also, I told y'all what else reminded me of The Exorcist was when she was sleeping but she was talking to Bear. Her spirit was talking to Bear because of course she was possessed. And if you remember in The Exorcist, there was a scene where Reagan was sleeping, but I think that was the housekeeper, she came in the room and she showed not Father Barrett, the other father, I think it was the younger father. She showed him, she lifted up her pajamas and it's in her skin, it sketched out "help me," which reminded me of The Exorcist, like her speaking in her sleep. Um, Also, Get Out, there was a moment, of course, when she said no, 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 no. It was another moment. We saw that in the trailer when they were on the date and he confronted her about something that she could have lied about. Now, this is the thing. I don't know if she was lying about that because Ian also was sleeping with her and he was trying to sabotage the situation. So I don't know. And the fact that he never told Bear about him sleeping with Nikki, I thought that was very interesting. And it was something interesting too where Nikki said in the beginning, she said, no one will never know if I'm interested in somebody, which makes me think that the reason why they never knew about Ian is because she was interested in him. But then also, there was a moment in between where I think she was thinking about being with Bear, but look at how everything untwined. Child was crazy. But yeah, like I really think about, do people want genuine connection or do they want the performance? Do people thrive off the toxicity? I think that Bear really liked that she was acting crazy. And he would say stuff like, you can't do that. Just stop doing that, okay? Everything's be okay. Just stop doing that. Don't do that. You can't do that. Just stop moving weird. And I'm just like, well, you know why she's moving weird? Because you made a wish on her. Like, you manipulated the situation and she's freaking out. Even the scene where he went to go call the back of the hotline on the back of the box for the One Wish Willow, and allegedly they say that that is actually the director, Curry Barker. But he was funny. He was so funny, and that humor there was funny. Going back, even that, like when it went from funny to being like chaotic, like him saying, you know, do you want to hear, do you want to talk to Nikki? And Nikki was screaming in the phone. Basically, her soul was wherever they keep that stuff at. And then, oh my God, y'all. when he goes, so it takes a really drastic scene. I mean, I know I said it was gonna be spoilers, but I don't want to like give everything away. But there was one scene where I knew something was going to happen, and everybody could. You knew something was going to happen, but you just were waiting for it to happen. And when it does happen, Nikki says he like Bear is crying. She's like, no, 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 no. She's like, don't cry. She was like, this is all your fault. And he's like, no. She's like, yes, yes, yes. This is all your fault because you wished for this. And I was like, she's so right. She's so right. And she was like, you're going to have to help me. You're going to have to help me move this body. And I was like, and he helped her move the body. And I'm like, this is toxicity. This is a toxic dynamic. You hear me? Toxic dynamic. Oh, there was one thing that I was like a little confused on. I know I'm all over the place, but these are just themes that I noticed. Also, like the love triangle. Bear was in each love triangle. The triangle between Bear, Ian, and Nikki, and then it was Nikki, Sarah, and Bear. It was just like a triangle there. That's why I was thinking about Spice. The poom poom. Like it was just like everybody wanted the poom poom. Like everybody was just like love triangle. And the thing is, I think that if they communicated this with each other earlier, but if he would have said something, I think this things wouldn't have happened the way it did. But yeah, those are some of the themes. But yeah, let me get to who is I think is the villain and who I think are the victims. So I'm gonna say this: there were two villains, and this don't have nothing to do with no gender wars. But baby, I'm sorry, but Bear was a villain, and so was Ian. I'm counting Ian as a villain because honestly, he was a bad friend and a bad lover. Like he just was giving bad advice. This could have all been resolved if he would have let his friend know that he was dealing with Nikki. I'm not saying you had to tell her that like y'all was sleeping together, but you know your friend like him. That's why you can't trust him. You can't trust your coworkers, child. That's what they be saying. Sometimes, sometimes, not all your coworkers, but you know, some people is like, no, that was grimy. I thought that was grimy as hell. But Bear, yeah, like Bear was the nice guy. Bear reminds me of that nice guy that plays the fence of like, he knows he's doing something wrong, but he's like, I don't know, she just likes me, and he's just acting oblivious to it. I'm gonna say this, although Nikki was out here doing crazy stuff, okay, moving weird, banging herself, she's seeing demons and stuff, she tripping. It wasn't until she started to smash herself in the head with glass that he started to realize like, oh, this is going too far. I'm like, you didn't notice when you ate the dead cat? I know I just spoiled that for you, but I think when she did the memorial, she dug up the cat, okay, out the trash and put a memorial of him in the kitchen. I think that was a clear sign that you need to call somebody about this. But he just would let it go on and on and on until it got out of hand. And so I definitely think that Nikki, she was a tormented soul. You could see that there was two parts to Nikki where it wasn't her, she was possessed. I think that she was a victim. And then also, sorry, Sarah was a victim. She was the ultimate victim because what happened to her, that was crazy. And also, why did we have to see her naked body? I was like, why we gotta, what the hell is this? I was like, what is this? Why did they have her like that? That looked crazy. The friendship dynamics, like the transition from being a great friend or being really a good friend to the pipeline of you being now a boyfriend that is manipulative, but also toxic because you're loving the chaos. Like the chaos is doing something for you to the point where you don't want to reveal what's going on to the people are asking you about this, and you like, oh no, she's good, she's good, like she likes me, I don't know, like I don't know what's happening. This is like, bro, this is so toxic. But damn, like it remind me of something, like. And also, like, you know what the messed up part about it was? Like, I think that, let's say that this wasn't like a wish, and this was just like, oh, he just like got close to Nikki. He was going to have a connection with Sarah, and mind you, she would have most likely, that would have been a genuine connection. And then Nikki would have been off to the side, tormented with like all of the things that she went through. Let's just say if it wasn't as severe as it was, like I'm just like, Jesus, like they never had a chance. They never had a chance, honey. But yeah, that's kind of my conclusion. I'll add in some notes if like I'm like missing anything. But yeah, those are who I think were the villains and the victims. But have you watched Obsession? That concludes this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.